Arsenal football supporters why they have not joined us. I'm pretty sure that Saskia at some point will join because he would love to chat to me about Liverpool and Chelsea. For the rest of us, people, as I suggested, we're starting a new chapter, as I suggested on Friday. Let's start the week off with sharing some good and bad news experiences. Something that good news, let's try and use that. We used it in previous sessions today as well, rather effectively. Let's get a news item that was in the news that in your opinion wasn't great because this again, or no, not another. That sort of thanks for joining, Johanny. That sort of qualifies as bad news, and then good news, something that inspired you, something that really one of those wow moments. Anybody wants to go? I've got my own that I've identified. I want to know if anybody has anything that they wanted to share with me. One of the students in one of the previous sessions this morning said her good news for the day is that she started a new business on the weekend, and I thought, oh my word, that's a wow moment. Yeah, definitely. I'll go with that. Anybody? Totally random. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I would like to for us to share good bad moments. Saskia, neither of us are going to. I haven't categorized the draw against Chelsea as a good or bad news experience. I just thought it was good football, and let's leave it at that. But interesting to me this morning, however, was the poor old Arsenal. They interviewed one of the Arsenal supporters after the game and said, what is his opinion on Ronaldo joining Man United now? Because Man United are great rivals, have always been great rivals with Arsenal. And the reply of the Arsenal supporter was, I don't really care because I don't see Man United as rivals anymore. I see Burnley and Norwich now as our rivals. Anyway, I think that's just how deep in the dumps they are. Anybody, any good news, any bad news that you want to share? Hi, Jaleese, Leo, thanks for joining. What was your wow moment, newsworthy moment of the weekend? Anybody? Anybody give it a go? Nothing happened. Where were you? Are you living in under a rock, or are you living in where? Isolation doesn't mean that you don't have to. People, come on, warm up. It's Monday afternoon. It's the last session. We're almost done.
Sir, it would be Ronaldo joining Man United. That was like an up for us, you know.
Is that your? I mean, it broke the internet.
It was just like a cherry on the cake, you know. It was on top.
Let's just. Yes, I can definitely, for people who are into football, I can see that, and I'll definitely, that was a big moment. Let's just see if it remains a good news item or if it becomes a bad news item during the course of the season. Anybody else? Anything bad? I mean, what good or bad? Has anybody been? Who's gone to watch a play around in the snow over the weekend? That is because it was. You won't get closer to Switzerland than we're currently experiencing, people. Anybody? Any good news? Any other good news? Any bad news? Nobody? Seriously? Any news for that matter would do. Oh my word. Yes, Johanny.
Maybe that blind woman winning the gold in the Paralympics for South Africa.
It was. Actually, at some point, I trained with her some years ago, believe it or not. My sister's also a reasonable good road runner for many years ago. I think at some point my wife went some 5K runs with her. It was amazing how these people's, how their senses have, other senses than sight have developed. And often my wife returned in awe to say, well, she told me there's a branch in the road, and I haven't even seen the branch yet. So it's just, I don't know what they hear, and other senses are just obviously extremely sensitive. And yeah, that was my good news item for the week, or for the day, was also related to the Paralympics. Not because I'm crazy about sport, because I just thought that it is quite inspiring for somebody to he's long jump before, and Ntando has done extremely well. I mean, I'm very, very proud of what Ntando Mslangwes has achieved on the weekend. As a youngster who came into the news a couple of years ago, 5 years ago in Rio, when he was a 14-year-old schoolboy and won an Olympic silver, for him to 6 weeks ago not even contemplate doing the long jump and now breaking a world record, that's rather amazing, to be honest with you. And then also watching how people with double amputees, like in his case, how they do the long jump. They can't really afford to land on their legs like able-bodied people would, because that really is going to put a great deal of strain on their joints, or their upper joints. And that in his case, he had to land on his bum, and that was the only thing he complained about afterwards. But I'm pretty sure a couple of physio visits and he'll be fine again. But to me, that was really inspiring, to see what can be done, and again, to see what these people do, regardless of what their physical challenges are daily. And then bad news item, unfortunately, there's another hurricane, possible cyclone that has hit probably about an hour ago, in New Orleans, and they are without power at the moment as we speak. Nature, we can't do anything about it, but again, it's both of these examples are very related to what we are currently going to do in Chapter 8, or what we're going to start doing in Chapter 8, and that is to look at certain skills that you need to personal sell. And one of the most important skills is to actually plan. Now, if you are an Olympian like Ntando is, once he decided 6 weeks ago he's going to actually do the long jump at the Paralympics as well, he obviously started planning, and he had certain activities that he had to do on a daily basis to ensure that he actually had the end result turned out the way he did on the weekend. And similarly with the people who know that there's a hurricane approaching, I know that your climatological scientists are very good, and the systems in place are fantastic. So people know in advance that bad weather is on its way. Those people, especially in those areas, they definitely have planned based on previous experience. So there's definitely some underground bunkers for these situations, and it's also when it's flooding, they know where the high ground is, where they should go to. They know what to pack on sort of on a very short notice, and what they would need. It's just, planning is and remains very important when you're doing any business for that matter, and in general in life. And obviously planning in sales is equally important. Planning and managing the time, because planning directly impacts on how much time you have and how well you manage the time that you have to complete your particular activity. Just look at yourselves. I mean, exams, the time that you have to allocate to complete an assessment, for instance. You know that there's a 3-hour time limit on on a closed book online quiz, for instance. You cannot spend too much time on just one question, and then you leave out questions that you could have answered, and then you don't finish all the questions. So planning is important, and time management is extremely important, and they go hand in hand. In this chapter, we are going to identify a few things that's important for us to ensure that we get better at our personal selling skills. And very important and a good starting point is to look at research that has been completed that will indicate to you that for you to be good in sales in an environment and in a time where most businesses are customer-centric, and where the customer is king, and all their approaches and philosophies are customer-orientated, it becomes important to identify what customers desire and what you need to offer, and what you need to offer them, or what is best from the products that you have available, that you can offer them to satisfy those needs. It is important that you also understand, and like we have done in previous chapters, have sufficient knowledge so you can describe the features of the products accurately, and then obviously remain ethical all the time. Don't promise people certain products can do certain things if it cannot, and don't try and force a customer into a sale by using aggressive sales techniques. I think it's also at this point important to, rather than look at what customers would like to see in you as a salesperson. In other words, what would satisfy the customer in the way in which you conduct the sale. The information you have on the screen is a result of research that has been done over some time to identify what characteristics customers or buyers would like to and would prefer to see in a salesperson. And it's rather revealing, because I think very often not a lot of salespeople don't pay attention to these specific aspects because they're too focused on achieving the sale, to make the target. To be successful in sales, without a doubt, good communication is required. The way in which you communicate, how frequently you communicate, and how accurate your communication is. And good communication also refers to an aspect that we have identified that is of crucial importance in sales and in general, in life and in business. And that is to be a good listener. If you, in your communication skills, have developed the skill of listening attentively, you will always also be able to address the needs of the customer and solve their problems, which is another aspect that customers value very highly as a characteristic that a salesperson should have. Understand and satisfy the buyer's needs. That reflects directly on how effectively and thoroughly you plan. Thoroughness goes hand in hand with that. Paying attention to detail. Ensuring that you don't just cross all the T's and dot all the I's, but that you actually attend to every single letter in the alphabet, for that matter. Thoroughness also refers to your ability to listen to what the customer says and read between the lines and what the customer actually is really actually saying. Make sure also that that you are knowledgeable about the products that your company are selling, to ensure that you can correctly identify which product will satisfy the needs of a customer. There is a few steps, or there are a few steps that we can follow in our sales process. They don't necessarily always happen or they don't necessarily, all the steps always happen in the sales process. But the steps specifically are there to identify the key skills that should take place in a cohesive manner. There will always be an opening, and we'll have a look at each of these aspects individually just now. There will always be an opening. An opening is exactly what it says. It's that first impression. We'll embroider on that just now. Identify the need of the customer. Preparing properly, so you can do a 5-star demonstration. Be able to deal with objections that customers might have. If your demonstration and presentation has not been thorough, there will be some objections, which will result in you having to negotiate a few objections and also engage in some negotiation to make a deal and then close the sale. And then obviously you just don't leave it at that. You'll have to follow up and see if the customer is actually happy with the purchase. Regardless if you know that you've followed the correct procedure and that there was absolutely no hidden agenda and that the customer really got the product that will satisfy their need, it's still important to follow up because people value that. Right. What is the opening all about? Opening is about first impressions. You only have one first impression. Otherwise, it will be a second and a third impression. There's only one first impression, and it's absolutely important, and it starts with your appearance. You've got to look the part. You have to respect the time of the customer as much as you respect your own time. Part of this goes into the planning to determine what is the best part of day, the most effective part of day to contact the customer or the potential customer. Usually early morning is not a good time, or usually that first half an hour before opening, or after opening, sorry, my apology. That first half an hour after opening is not a very good time. Businesses are finding their feet. They are still easing into the day, so to speak. They might feel rushed because they have also have their plan set for the day and they are starting to implement that. So don't rush in first thing in the morning like it's a Christmas sale and you've been waiting outside the door for 3 hours for the sale to open. And also the last half an hour of a day. People start unwinding consciously or subconsciously. They're not as sharp, and they also don't want to engage in too long a conversation because they're watching the clock. And they want to leave at a certain time, and they want to leave at the closing time, and they are not going to engage into a discussion that probably is needed if there's not enough time at the end of the day to complete a proper conversation. Part of the opening is also to introduce yourself. Nowadays it's a bit more difficult because we can do the proper handshake and everything, but just be courteous. Don't just walk into somebody's office and make yourself at home and sit down, and especially if you don't know the customer. Pay attention to detail. Your opening remarks are very important as well. Make sure that you state very clearly why you are there after you've introduced yourself. Don't be too sociable, because I mean, this person is still a potential customer and buyer and not a friend. And don't open with a line, "Can I help you?" Very often, a mistake that is made by salespeople is that they focus too much on making the sale instead of ensuring that they open properly. If you look at those two images on the screen, both of them are in both images. The salesperson is introducing himself to the potential buyer or customer. What's the difference between those two images? Is there a difference between these two images? Apart from the number of people in the image.
In the second image, sir, one of the men is sitting.
Yep. Why is that important?
I don't know, it might feel like he was sitting down and then the other man just came over to him and was like, "Hi!" I don't know. It might feel intimidating as well.
You are on the right track, Johanne. Definitely, yes. It is intimidating. A salesperson, if somebody is visiting you because they prefer to see you at your offices, you should not be the one sitting. You should be the one getting onto the same level as the other person to make them feel welcome in your territory, in your office, where instead of, and I think it becomes intimidating, because if you're the salesperson sitting down and the customer is introducing, or you're greeting the customer, then they do feel slightly intimidated, because I mean, it's a strange environment to them to start with. It also, from a sales point of view, if you are the salesperson in the right-hand image and the customer or potential customer is the person sitting down, the fact that they didn't get up to the equal level to you when the invitation and introduction and greeting took place is an indication of the type of customer that you'll be dealing with as well. So those are non-verbal signs that you need to obviously pick up. And those would be the different scenarios that you plan in advance when you do plan your presentation and your demo and that first visit. Up to this point, the two people in the image on the right-hand side have only seen each other, have only spoken to each other on the phone, and as a result of that, they are now for the first time putting a face to the name or to the voice, and on a phone, your non-verbal cues are not visible. And when it's now done in person, immediately you know what type of customer you're dealing with. It could be that it's a professional, very tough customer who, this is my territory, you have come now into my territory, and you have to convince me now, and your efforts will obviously have to be slightly adjusted as to what you normally would have planned. Usually, it could be a cultural thing as well. I know that, for instance, if somebody walks into a room, into my room, for instance, where I'm the host, I'll get up. To me, it's just a form of mutual respect, like the image on the left-hand side shows. People immediately feel that more comfortable because we are sort of starting off on an equal level. The link to that YouTube clip that I've got on the screen, I'll upload with today's recording. It's quite interesting, gives you extremely important information on how to open a sale properly and why a proper opening is extremely important to your success in the whole sales process. Right. What's next? Next, obviously, is to identify the need and the problem of the customer. Here you can determine the need accurately by asking specific questions and then listening very attentively. You can use two different types of questions. You can use your open questions where it basically requires the buyer to provide you with one-word answers. For instance, the example that we've got on the screen, what's the main reason for, what were the main reasons for you buying the XYZ copier? Okay, our previous copier is broken, or we don't like the supplier, and whatever. So that's it. So a closed question would be something like, what is the name of the current copier you're using? Okay, that could only be X, Y, or Z. Okay. Different types of questions. For instance, if you're selling vehicles, you would ask a customer, for instance, to close the sale, would you like the car in red or white, sir? Not giving them choices to answer what colors they would prefer, but to provide them, how many are you going to take? Are you buy 1 or 2 or 5 or 10? Those are specific answers that they need to provide. And it's a form of closing the sale, but in this particular instance, the questions are structured as such so you can determine exactly what the customer wants, because the customer will express to you, especially with open questions, and those are the best questions to lead with. They will express what their current problem is. If you just give them yes or no type of answers, you're going to have a lot of questions that you have to ask before you can determine accurately what the problem is. If you ask them questions that specifically relates to what your business can offer, like the open-end questions, they'll have to give you a bit more information, and they will have to express what's really troubling them and what the main reason is for them considering to buy from your company. Oops, that was a bit quick. Sorry, my apologies for that. In your textbooks, you'll find a list of typical types of questions and what the objective of each question is. It's very valuable to read through. I'm not going to necessarily ask you in an exam to identify what type of question. This is a type of question that you'll find in a class test or something like that, but not necessarily in a test or exam where I'll provide you with a list of questions and I ask you to categorize them as to what type of question, clarification, inclusion, transition or statement question it would be. It is very valuable, however, to read through this. It's something that you can keep close by, especially when you decide to go into sales as a career. Right. Preparing and then doing the demo. First thing is to recognize the benefits that the customer will get, because that's what you'll focus on, not the features. You got to sell the benefits. The features people can get in the brochure. The people can, or the buyer can get the information on the internet. It's published in a variety of forms. They know that this particular product is going to do this and that, or has the ability to do this and that for them. The new Samsung Fold or Flip has 3 cameras, and it has this and it has that, and the pixel quality is this, and those are all features. You're not selling the features, you're selling the benefits. a particular feature will provide you with a certain benefit. That's what your focus would be when you are selling a benefit. Like the example at the bottom, for instance. People know that if they buy a specific brand, and that's one of the two types of benefits that you can actually purchase. Buying a specific product, you know that over years, because of the reputation of the product, what to expect of that product or that particular brand. But then also buying from a particular supplier rather than somebody else could also be a reason, or could also be a benefit for you, because they are closer located to you, maybe. Therefore, if you have problems, you can easily contact them. Various reasons why customers buy with specific suppliers. The examples of, for instance, a twin-tap washing machine as opposed to an automatic washing machine. What would the twin-tap's features be? What would the automatic's features be? What would the benefits be of having the one and not the other? Now, I know you probably have never bought a washing machine in your life, yet when you get to that point, these things become very important to you. What's the I just recently bought one because mine finally died after 12 years, so I had some good mileage out of the previous one. I'm not going to disclose the brand that I've purchased, but I immediately went for the same one. I went for this the latest version of the same one that I had, because I was used to
So
I didn't have. Yes, Johanni.
why don't you disclose it? Because we go through washing machines like crazy.
Well, I don't want to. Well, I can tell you what it is. I mean, it's not a secret, but and I'm not scared to say it. But I prefer not to sometimes use it, because some people might be influenced. And in your case, now obviously you go through them and you say, okay, right, now maybe I need to change to a different one, and maybe the one that I've been using is one that that you've had problems with. But as I said, yeah, it's if you want to know, it was a Samsung. I was very happy with my Samsung, and I think apart from phones, that's probably the electronic device that I have the most faith in, and I think I base it on the fact that when I purchase a washing machine, for instance, in this case it was automatic Samsung washing machine, it is something that it's a product that has provided me years of service beyond what it was supposed to do. Usually people expect nowadays it's got a 3-year warranty, it's got a 5-year warranty. After 3 or 5 years, I have to start looking to replace it. So I was very happy with the durability of the product, the simplicity of the menu, how to use it. I can even tell my kids when they were still in primary school, chuck in the washing machine and just follow the steps. It's very easy to use. It's very user friendly in the menu. That was and also all the other products I have from my television through my my freezers and everything are Samsungs as well. And I think they have, in that particular field, they have really excelled. And also the fact that the after sales service have been great. I immediately got somebody out to look at it and said, you know what, you can arrange the funeral. This one is done, but I can also recommend that you look at these and these. That was the repairman, the Samsung repair, technical repair individual who visited me and to see if I can maybe fix it, because that's usually your first reaction. Geez, I don't have 3, 4, 5K now to pay for a new washing machine, so let's rather fix it for $500. He was straight up and said, sir, this thing is dead. You can claim from insurance, whatever, but you need to replace it. I can put it in the part for you. It's going to last for you another 3 months. You're going to save a couple of thousands of bucks, but you're going to have to replace it eventually within the next 6 months, because the same thing is going to happen again. I enjoyed the honesty of the repairs person. It was maybe he's a salesperson as well. Maybe he's a salesperson doing repairs, and that's how he gets his sales. I don't know, but I just enjoyed it. It was all over good experience with me, and my experience with the particular brand has been tremendous over many years. I've never, I'm not, however, keen on their phones. I think it's a territory that, yeah, other suppliers and other brands have better technology. But anyway. Right, what's the next step that we have to look at? Excuse me. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. Not 500% my best today, but we battled through the climate changes. Hopefully by Wednesday, when we have spring day, we'll have better weather, although the last number of years that I can recall, spring was a rather wet day. How to relate to features and benefits. How do you link those two? You can link those by using phrases like which means that, which results in. If we use an example, for instance, the sales property agent or estate agent is selling a house, makes a statement to the potential buyer to say that this house is 5 kilometers from the company you work, which means that it will be easier for you to get to work in 15 minutes. Maybe that is a benefit to somebody who hates spending time in traffic. Maybe it's a benefit because that means that if there's a problem at home, that you can quickly go and attend to it. Example of the feature and the benefit, and how you can link the two by selling the benefit by using the right phrases. You're highlighting the feature, but you're selling the benefit. Right. We know that people are always cautious when they make their decisions, or buyers are cautious when they make their buying decisions. So you can be very, you can follow all the steps to the T and still not necessarily get the right response, because there's still one element that the customer is, or that affects the customer's decision, and that is the potential risk in making that final decision. There are a few ways that we can attend to this. One of these, one of the most effective ones, is to actually just offer them a trial order. Yes, sir, take the sample, or take, if the products are usually sold in, let's say, a 500 gram and a 1 kilogram sizes, maybe have a 200 gram sample that at least the customer can use 3 or 4 times to experience the benefit. It always works. It helps. I told my son, and he's been very successful recently, I said to him, when you approach the person that you've done your practical hours with, your shadowing hours with, for potential work, don't try and don't give your CV to him, and he has your CV, because I mean that's why in the first place he allowed you to do your exponential hours there. Phone him and say to him, you know that they don't have vacancies at the moment. You're prepared to work for him for free for a month, and if he's happy with what he sees, you can take it to the next step. And he tried it, and he's already got two offers, because people like that. People like getting an opportunity to experience the benefit. Guarantees, we know that is par for the course. I don't think I've recently bought anything, not recently, in the last 10 years, anything that I know is supposed to be a durable product, that I've not extended my guarantees and my warranties just to make sure that I'm covered. But that gives the sort of it puts the buyer's mind at ease that, you know what, if something goes wrong, at least these people have warranties in place that'll guarantee replacement or fixing it for free or whatever. But that just sort of reduces the risk and the stress of, geez, if I buy this now and something breaks, then no. They bought that in long time ago already, but it just is to give that consolation to the customer that, you know what, same thing happens, it's fine. Shouldn't be your problem, it's ours. Demos worked very, very well. I can remember that, I might have told you this before, I've never been in the market to buy a Kirby because that's sort of industrial quality vacuum cleaner, but it's also industrial vacuum cleaner priced. But you cannot buy a Kirby vacuum cleaner at a retail shop. You cannot buy it. You can only buy it through the company themselves, and they will not sell it to you if they have not done a demonstration. I tried it before, and they said, nope, sir, I'm fine. Oh, well, the previous step is also, the previous, another method is the reference selling, where you, yeah, but so-and-so referred me, they were very happy, and regardless, they don't sell it to you if they don't demo it to you first. The guy chucked a lot of dirt onto my carpet, and I thought, you know what, you better clean this, because otherwise there are going to be problems. He was so confident that it actually can do what it did, or that he said it would do. Yeah, and my carpet was definitely much cleaner afterwards. I still have the Kirby. That's also one of those endurable vacuum cleaners that it cleans. It doesn't just make a noise. Reference selling, I've also touched on. It is very good to put a potential buyer's mind at ease if you can actually share with them the success that somebody, especially somebody that they know, or businesses that they know, that they have been using your product as well very successfully. It's easier for the potential customer to also check with those people, because they know them if they have actually had the experience that the salespeople is selling to you. Right. Dealing with objectives. Let's see how we deal with objectives. People are usually not very good in dealing with objections, because as I have previously expressed.
Sir?
Yes, Oscar.
Isn't class done?
Say again?
Isn't class done? Was supposed to be.
You're quite right. It actually, sorry, yeah, I was thinking of the next. Oh my goodness, where's my mind going? No wonder. I was playing for the extra 5 minutes. As I thought it was a bit, yeah, beyond the 90. My apologies for this one. Not that would have helped any of our teams on Saturday evening. But yeah, you're quite right. It's actually at this point in it that we'll close the session for today, and we'll on Wednesday, on Spring Day, continue to see how well we can deal with objections. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. I did not pay attention to the time at all. Yes, yeah, time flew. Thank you very much. Anybody, any questions at this point? You all good?
All good. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mariani. Thanks, Sashka. Keep well, everybody. We'll chat again on Wednesday.